And Phil Foden are back though, and there's also a place on the bench for Nathan Ake, who's returning from a muscle injury. City lineup: Ederson, João Cancelo, Diaz, Garcia, Zinchenko, Rodri, Fernandinho, Bernardo Silva, Sterling, Foden and Torres. On the bench: Walker, Stones, Ake, Gundogan, Gabriel Jesus, Stefan, Laporte, De Bruyne, Mendy, Mahrez, Carson and Doyle. The Porto 11 includes Sanusi, Corona and Marega up front. They line up Marchesín in goal, Manafa, Mbemba, Sarr, Diogo Leite, Sanusi, Corona, Uribe, Sergio Oliveira, Otavio Marega. On the bench: Diaz, Taremi, Nakajima, Claudio Ramos, Barro, João Mario, Felipe Anderson, Martinez, Evanilson, Nanu, Vieira and Costa, and we're underway at 8 p.m. Here's the team news from the Estadio do Dragão for the Champions League clash between Porto and Manchester City this evening. City boss Pep Guardiola actually makes a number of changes from the side that started the victory over Burnley at the weekend. Only goalkeeper Ederson, defender Ruben Dias, midfielder Rodri and winger Ferran Torres keep their places. Raheem Sterling and Phil Foden are back though, and there's also a place on the bench for Nathan Ake, who's returning from a muscle injury. City lineup: Ederson, João Cancelo, Diaz, Garcia, Zinchenko, Rodri, Fernandinho, Bernardo Silva, Sterling, Foden and Torres. On the bench: Walker, Stones, Ake, Gundogan, Gabriel Jesus, Stefan, Laporte, De Bruyne, Mendy, Mahrez, Carson and Doyle. The Porto 11 includes Sanusi, Corona and Marega up front. They line up Marchesín in goal, Manafa, Mbemba, Sarr, Diogo Leite, Sanusi, Corona, Uribe, Sergio Oliveira, Otavio Marega. On the bench: Diaz, Taremi, Nakajima, Claudio Ramos, Barro, João Mario, Felipe Anderson, Martinez, Evanilson, Nanu, Vieira and Costa, and we're underway at 8 p.m. Here's the team news from the Estadio do Dragão for the Champions League clash between Porto and Manchester City this evening. City boss Pep Guardiola actually makes a number of changes from the side that started the victory over Burnley at the weekend. Only goalkeeper Ederson, defender Ruben Dias, midfielder Rodri and winger Ferran Torres keep their places. Raheem Sterling and Phil Foden are back though, and there's also a place on the bench for Nathan Ake, who's returning from a muscle injury. City lineup: Ederson, João Cancelo, Diaz, Garcia, Zinchenko, Rodri, Fernandinho, Bernardo Silva, Sterling, Foden and Torres. On the bench: Walker, Stones, Ake, Gundogan, Gabriel Jesus, Stefan, Laporte, De Bruyne, Mendy, Mahrez, Carson and Doyle. The Porto 11 includes Sanusi, Corona and Marega up front. They line up Marchesín in goal, Manafa, Mbemba, Sarr, Diogo Leite, Sanusi, Corona, Uribe, Sergio Oliveira, Otavio Marega. On the bench: Diaz, Taremi, Nakajima, Claudio Ramos, Barro, João Mario, Felipe Anderson, Martinez, Evanilson, Nanu, Vieira and Costa, and we're underway at 8 p.m. Here's the team news from the Estadio do Dragão for the Champions League clash between Porto and Manchester City this evening. City boss Pep Guardiola actually makes a number of changes from the side that started the victory over Burnley at the weekend. Only goalkeeper Ederson, defender Ruben Dias, midfielder Rodri and winger Ferran Torres keep their places. Raheem Sterling and Phil Foden are back though, and there's also a place on the bench for Nathan Ake, who's returning from a muscle injury. City lineup: Ederson, João Cancelo, Diaz, Garcia, Zinchenko, Rodri, Fernandinho, Bernardo Silva, Sterling, Foden and Torres. On the bench: Walker, Stones, Ake, Gundogan, Gabriel Jesus, Stefan, Laporte, De Bruyne, Mendy, Mahrez, Carson and Doyle. The Porto 11 includes Sanusi, Corona and Marega up front. They line up Marchesín in goal, Manafa, Mbemba, Sarr, Diogo Leite, Sanusi, Corona, Uribe, Sergio Oliveira, Otavio Marega. On the bench: Diaz, Taremi, Nakajima, Claudio Ramos, Barro, João Mario, Felipe Anderson, Martinez, Evanilson, Nanu, Vieira and Costa, and we're underway at 8 p.m. Here's the team news from the Estadio do Dragão for the Champions League clash between Porto and Manchester City this evening. City boss Pep Guardiola actually makes a number of changes from the side that started the victory over Burnley at the weekend. Only goalkeeper Ederson, defender Ruben Dias, midfielder Rodri and winger Ferran Torres keep their places. Raheem Sterling and Phil Foden are back though, and there's also a place on the bench for Nathan Ake, who's returning from a muscle injury. City lineup: Ederson, João Cancelo, Diaz, Garcia, Zinchenko, Rodri, Fernandinho, Bernardo Silva, Sterling, Foden and Torres. On the bench: Walker, Stones, Ake, Gundogan, Gabriel Jesus, Stefan, Laporte, De Bruyne, Mendy, Mahrez, Carson and Doyle. The Porto 11 includes Sanusi, Corona and Marega up front. They line up Marchesín in goal, Manafa, Mbemba, Sarr, Diogo Leite, Sanusi, Corona, Uribe, Sergio Oliveira, Otavio Marega. On the bench: Diaz, Taremi, Nakajima, Claudio Ramos, Barro, João Mario, Felipe Anderson, Martinez, Evanilson, Nanu, Vieira and Costa, and we're underway at 8 p.m. Here's the team news from the Estadio do Dragão for the Champions League clash between Porto and Manchester City this evening. City boss Pep Guardiola actually makes a number of changes from the side that started the victory over Burnley at the weekend. Only goalkeeper Ederson, defender Ruben Dias, midfielder Rodri and winger Ferran Torres keep their places. Raheem Sterling and Phil Foden are back though, and there's also a place on the bench for Nathan Ake, who's returning from a muscle injury. City lineup Ederson, João Cancelo, Dias, Garcia, Zinchenko, Rodri, Fernandinho, Bernardo Silva, Sterling, Foden and Torres. On the bench, Walker, Stones, Ake, Gundogan, Gabriel Jesus, Stefan, Laporte, De Bruyne, Mendy, Mahrez, Carson and Doyle. The Porto 11 includes Sanusi, Corona and Marega up front. They line up Well, it's a very warm welcome along to Off-Tube studio-based commentary on tonight's Champions League group game in Portugal. Just need a result tonight to ensure they win the group and have an easier second round opponent. The referee checks his watch and blows the whistle, and we're underway in front of empty stands at this epic 50,000 seater stadium. Such a shame that again no spectators allowed tonight. Here's Zinchenko getting his first touch for City, who are in all black change colours tonight, and City played across the back line now via Eric Garcia to Ruben Dias and now João Cancelo. Rodri gets his first touch in the centre circle and spins it out towards the left, and Zinchenko's pushed up high on that side. The Ukrainian dribbles forward, then plays it into the path of Foden, who tries an early cross. It's cut out in the centre of the box by Porto and should be cleared now by Chancel and Bemba. He lets it run behind off a City player for a goal kick. Coached by Sergio Conceição, the former Portuguese international. Of course, City with Pep Guardiola at the helm, having recently signed a new 2-year contract extension. Of course, results haven't quite been forthcoming for him since that deal was wrapped up. They lost to Tottenham Hotspur, didn't they, in the Premier League? But bounced back with a victory last week in the Champions League, which has put them in this position now where they are through and can rest players. He's rested a good deal actually from the Burnley game at the weekend, and only 4 survive in the starting 11 as Porto played across their back line now with Bemba again, the former Newcastle defender. And now Diogo Leite plays a lovely pass. Well, it looks a lovely pass when it left his boot, but it's cleared the head of Sanusi, the Nigerian right wing back on this left-hand side, or left wing back on the left-hand side. City play the throw-in short, and Bernardo Silva knocks it back to Ruben Dias, his countryman, both in Portugal tonight. Not quite familiar surroundings though, neither of them played for Porto. Bernardo, of course, a Benfica man, so too Ruben Dias, who cost well over £50 million to acquire from the Lisbon club. This is well defended by Sanusi, who hoofs it away. It comes back to City though down the right with a nice turn inside the penalty area by Sterling. Can't quite pull off the full pirouette. It goes back via Rodri to Zinchenko. His cross towards the back post is headed away and behind for a Manchester City corner. Bernardo was lurking, and it was Malang Sarr, the on-loan Chelsea man, who got the final touch to put it behind for this corner. Quarter to Manchester City then inside the first 3 minutes of this game. And City play it back now from that short corner routine. Sterling a little bit lackadaisical in possession. He does get it back now, and he can cross. Plays it in right-footed towards the far post. It goes all the way through and behind for a goal kick. Might have been a push in there as well, actually, from a City player on Mbemba. I don't think the referee would have allowed it anyway. It was Fernandinho who came in, possibly with a foul there. And they take the goal kick short to Porto and then play it back to Agustin Marchessan, the goalkeeper. He sends it into midfield. Marega will try and chest it down. Can't bring it under his control though, and so Foden comes away down the left-hand side, showing good pace, good tenacity to get away from Mbemba. Remember, using his physical presence to lean in on Foden, but he stays in possession and knocks it back to Zinchenko. Fernandinho trying to show for him deep in midfield. The Brazilian gets it and plays it back to Alexander Zinchenko. Down the line to Foden again. He's got Bernardo coming short, ignores him, squares it back to Fernandinho into the penalty area, looking for Foden. The return pass is too strong from the ex-Shakhtar Donetsk man, and it goes through for a Porto goal kick. Fernandinho, of course, signed from Shakhtar Donetsk quite a few years ago now. But I'm sure he still keeps one eye out on his former club's results, and what a great result tonight for them in one of the earlier games. Shakhtar 2, Real Madrid 0 is the scoreline coming in from that one. As Marchesín prepares to take the goal kick. This one goes towards the halfway line, where it's a towering header won by Eric Garcia this time. Falls to Foden, back to Rodri, who tries to hold off Morega's attentions. The ball deflects back to Mbemba, who can knock it back in to the feet of Sarr. And now they get forward here to Porto, down the left with Wilson Manafa, and back via Diogo Leite to Malang Sarr. He takes a touch inside his own penalty area. Slightly loose back pass, but the goalkeeper is alive to it and knocks it up into midfield, where it's half won there by Sergio Oliveira. City pick it up again though. Foden gets an early ball into the penalty area. It's headed behind again for a second City corner inside the first 5 minutes. And it was Diogo Leite who had to get there. Bit of a diving header from Diogo Leite. Portuguese under-21 international. Just got there ahead of Ferran Torres, who's playing the centre-forward role for City tonight. City take another short corner. This one a bit better than the last. But again, they don't really get it into the penalty area. They just keep possession outside the box on the left with Zinchenko. Now Sterling. He tries to chip it into the penalty area. Again, far too strong from City. They haven't quite got their golf wedges sorted, have they? Either he or Fernandinho from earlier. And it remains 0-0 after 6 minutes. Pep Guardiola already on his feet and trying to just get some information out to his team there. Maybe not too happy with the way the first 2 corners have gone. Not quite how they rehearsed them in training this week. Going to be Marchesín with a goal kick. And this one is sent into the City half, where it's chested down by Rodri. He runs into a bit of trouble though, as Matías Uribe wins it back for Porto. And then Wilson Manafa plays it back to Diogo Leite. The Portuguese under-21 centre-back to Malang Sarr now. He plays it through into Otavio's feet, and the Brazilian now links up here with Jesus Corona. Back to Otavio. Corona again. Plays it back to the halfway line. Still Porto in possession. Keeping it simple, keeping it tight, and going backwards all the time to goalkeeper Marchesín on the edge of his box. He swings a right boot and sends it back up to the halfway line. He's overcooked it though. It clears his intended target, Moussa Morega. And the man in pink tonight is Ederson. Again, another ex-Benfica man. There's a few of them in the City lineup. And he plays it into midfield. Rodri goes back to Ruben Dias. Rodri again, trying to break a line, finds Bernardo Silva, dropping off his Foden, who knocks it wide to the left-hand side. It's Zinchenko, looks up, tries an early cross. It's defended well by Manafa, who heads it away at the second attempt. It's knocked back into the edge of the penalty area. Is that a foul? Referee says play on, because Zinchenko can cross from here. Instead, he comes to the edge of the box and lays it back to Rodri, who tries to chip it in towards Cancelo, who goes up with a header. And eventually, Porto defend that situation pretty well in the end. And they're going to get... City going to get a throw in, actually. I think that came off Sergio Oliveira. Yeah, it's going to be João Cancelo to take it. And he throws it back in to Dias, and now Fernandinho. Is Sterling operating in the hole at the moment, goes wide to Bernardo, back to Sterling inside the penalty area, chance to cross. He then tries to cut it back as he brought down for a penalty. No, the referee says it was a clean challenge. It had to be as well from the Porto defender, but it's going to be a third Manchester City corner. Good tackle from Malang Sarr. Like I say, he's on loan from Chelsea. Season-long loan for Malang Sarr, who was brought in from Ligue 1 in the summer. City swing it to the back post this corner. It's headed away again for a fourth corner inside the first 10 minutes for the visitors. At least they've done away with the short corner routine for the time being. That certainly wasn't working. I think Pep Guardiola made sure that his players knew that it was not working after the first two went awry. They have got some useful headers of the ball on the team tonight, even though they're not the tallest, City. And with good delivery, as they'll hope this time to get from Foden, who chips it into the near post. It's flicked on. It might drop to the back post, but Sterling was hanging out this time. He knocks it back to Rodri, who feints to cross and drives forward. Then he'll put a ball in, but it's knocked away by the Porto defence. Zinchenko underneath it, wins the header but flicks it on for Porto's benefit, and Marega almost fastened onto it, but City pick it up again. Loose ball with Bernardo Silva, and he just probes down the left hand side, feeds it inside to Zinchenko, down the line to Foden, hooking the touchline left hand flank, goes back to Rodri, corner of the penalty area, still with Fernandinho, about 25 yards out, into Foden's feet again. He can turn, knock it wide to Bernardo now to the byline, tries to knock it through a defender's legs, cuts it back to Zinchenko. His ball does find Foden. He almost got the shot away, and it's scraped away by Otavio for Porto, but it's going to come straight back at them because City have got a vice-like grip on the possession and the territory in these early stages. Here's Sterling, loose touch from him, gives it away. Chance for Porto to break. The ball a little bit behind Jesus Corona, who's claiming the decision. It's gone the other way though. It's going to be a Manchester City throw-in. Early stages at the Estadio do Dragão, where it's still Porto 0, Manchester City 0, but a cracking start for Pep Guardiola's side. They've had 4 corners inside the first 10 minutes. The first couple were wasted because they played them short, but they put a couple of decent crosses in from the last two. Raheem Sterling popping up in a nice position to win that corner as well, but they haven't really forced a save out of Augustin Marchesín just yet. At the other end, Ederson has been a virtual spectator. We've played just over 10 minutes, and it remains Porto 0, Manchester City 0 at the Estadio do Dragão. Situation so far as City continue to have possession, but they go all the way back to the goalkeeper this time, and try and keep you in touch with the scoreline as well in the game between Liverpool and Ajax if I can. Liverpool down a few players as well tonight, including goalkeeper Alisson. He's got a tight leg muscle. Not sure if that's hamstring or just something else in his leg, but in that game it is also still goalless. Liverpool 0, Ajax 0, but Liverpool have hit the woodwork. Offside flag up against Manchester City, so it's going to be a free kick to Porto just outside the penalty area. Goalkeeper Marchesín to take it, tries to play it out towards the right hand side, onto the chest of Marega this time, but he can't turn and go straight out of play, and it's going to be a City throw-in. Porto, 2-time Champions League winners. The last of them was back in 2002-03.